Welcome to Flashback Friday. Join me in Atlanta, where I visit Coca-Cola, CNN, and go to an Ed Sheeran concert where my phone dies before my Uber arrives. And I have no idea where I live. This one was first released in September 2018. Enjoy. I am back in the US after 13 hours on the road from Nicaragua, flying in the middle of the night and doing a transit in Fort Lauderdale in Florida. And it's been a long 13 hours, but now I'm finally here. I'm about to be picked up by my good old friend Lars from Denmark. He and his family are living here in Atlanta, and they're setting me up. And he's about to pick me up in a few minutes.
Meet Palle Bo, a digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world.
My name is Palle Bo, and I'm a long-time radio producer. In 2013, I started planning to become a digital nomad and a full-time traveler. 3 years later, I had sold my house, my car, and all my furniture. And in July 2016, I set out on a quest to visit every country in the world. In this podcast, I'm taking you along on my journey.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
Here in Atlanta, I'm staying with old friends from Denmark, Lars and Marianne.
Hi, Lars.
Through Marianne's job as a top executive, they got the chance to take their family to different places around the world. First, they spent a couple of years in Prague, the Czech Republic, then Budapest in Hungary, and then 5 years in Amsterdam before coming here to Atlanta. I got to know Lars when we worked together on the radio station I co-founded back in Denmark, Radio ABC. In fact, we used to host the morning show together. This was back in the early 90s and sounded like this.
Hvordan var det, du sagde, vejret var lige nu? Det er sådan halvdiset. Hvad ved du hvad, jeg går ud i landskabet, og så skal jeg fortælle dig det bagefter. Jeg tager virkelig et fysisk tjek på vejrudsigten lige i øjeblikket.
Vejrudsigten er sponsoreret af Vagn Larsen på Østervold. Nyt i Al Capone, Jack and Jones.
This episode is brought to you in part by this website called hotels25.com. If you're a regular listener, you have heard me mention this before, and I can't say this enough. This is a cool website. It helps you find the cheapest hotel rooms around the world. Hotels25.com. You should try it out. It actually works.
To find out more about where you can join in, just visit our website. Or even better, just download our app. And be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram and like our Facebook page.
What you're hearing here is from Sunday morning. I'm walking into a church with Lars and Marianne, and this is what we hear in the speakers on our way into the church. It is the church saying you can download our apps and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We don't get that in Denmark.
Hey, once again, good morning, everyone. I'm so glad you guys are here. Like Billy said, this is our time when we get to sing together. I want to invite you to be free and sing with us, all right?
Lars and Marianne asked me if I wanted to join them to church, and I was a little bit confused because I've known these people for more than 25 years, and they never really seemed very religious. They explain that this is not why they go. They tell me that it's a good place to meet the locals, and then it's a good show, and then there's always somebody giving a great talk, which is a little bit Christian, but also quite thought-provoking and entertaining. Of course, I joined them, and it is an amazing production. Yeah, that's what I call it, a production. It was more like witnessing a TV show, and it was also live on TV. There was music, amazing music, and an incredible, entertaining talk.
Here's what Christians believe. Christians believe that once upon a time there was no such thing as sex, and God came up with it. It was his idea, and I don't know how that worked. I don't know if he was standing in heaven going, "Oh, I got a great idea," and the angel said, "What?" And he said, "You would not understand." Okay, well, I don't know. But once upon a time, there was no such thing. And then God created. God created, and not just for procreation. That God created this fascinating, powerful dangerous, fulfilling, fragile thing called sexual union. And he gave it to mankind. God is not afraid of this topic. God is not against this topic. He created it. And because he loves you and because he loves me, he says this one comes with some rules. And you keep the rules, and it's everything I intended for it to be. You break the rules, and you break my heart because I love you. Now, when you open up
Back in 1976, Ted Turner started the world's first 24-hour news channel right here in Atlanta.
Tonight, we're live from 5 continents.
We're going to take you through the tornado's path.
We have shown how strong the Filipino people are.
There's a substantial Russian military buildup right now.
We're talking about going in.
And even though they have studios around the world today, this is still where CNN has the headquarters.
Around the world, 210 countries. I got goosebumps.
I went for a visit and did a tour, which was very interesting.
Right now we are looking at Studio 7. Studio 7 is an operating studio. This is HLN's broadcast hub. So some of the programs that are filmed here are Morning Express with Robin Meade, Weekend Express.
Besides CNN, this is also where Coca-Cola has the headquarters. And here I also went on a tour. They have a museum that tells the story. They are showing a very, very emotional film. And then there's an area where you can taste, well, I'll guess more than 100 different variations that they make around the world. You can walk around with a cup and walk from continent to continent and taste a lot of different kinds of sugary water. It sounds quite silly and very American, but actually I thought it was worth a visit.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
If you like what you hear, please leave a review in iTunes. If you're listening on an iPhone, you can actually do it right there within your podcast app. A bit more about Atlanta. It's the capital and the biggest city in the state of Georgia. The city itself has around 500,000 people, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you look at the population of the greater city area, it's more like close to 7 million. And this has grown a lot in the last 10 years. According to Wikipedia, this is the 4th biggest growth in any urban area in the United States. And in fact, here in Atlanta, they have the world's biggest airport. I stayed with Lars and Marianne for a week, and one night Lars asked me if I wanted to go play soccer with the friends. It was on small 7-man teams, and of course I said yes to that as well. I thought it would be a good way to get a bit of exercise and then probably a beer after that. It turned out that we were playing against a Mexican team, and they really went for it.
And listen, we're ahead of them on the last 3 plays. He got tripped, you got elbowed, and you got elbowed or something. They're fouling us from behind. That shows we're beating them. We're beating them.
It almost became a fight, and the referee had really a tough day, and it was almost getting out of hand.
Ref, he got all ball. What the hell? I called him like 4 or 5 times, Tommy. Ref, what the hell are you looking at? He touched the ball. The ball. Ref, what the hell are you watching?
Okay, I need to tell you a story. Yesterday afternoon, I had the opportunity to get tickets to a concert that I always wanted. No, not always, because he hasn't been around always. But I really wanted to get in and see a concert with this guy.
My life is brilliant. My life is pure.
Just to give you an impression of who he is, before I'm going to tell you, the warm-up was this guy called James Blunt. James Blunt had a few hits. He was huge a few years ago, and he just put out a new album, and he was asked to be a warm-up for the U.S. part of this guy's tour, and he said, you need to get in there before me and warm up the crowd and make them really hyped up. He said this in between two songs. Hyped up, James Blunt said. Have you ever heard my music? It's so depressing. So he's really got a nice sense of humor, this guy, and he actually did warm us up. Before he played his hit, he said, let me play one more from my new album, and then I'll play the song that you know, as if he was only a one-hit wonder. He had a few hits, and he was very good. And then the main attraction came on stage. He was alone on stage for 2.5 to 3 hours. He's a redhead from England, and his name is Ed Sheeran. He was alone on stage for most of the time. Just one song. There was a guy playing the piano, but other than that, he was all alone on stage, and it never got boring. There's a huge video screen behind him, very, very well produced, and the way he really plays his songs is just amazing. He's super, super talented. So I was going crazy with my camera and on my iPhone, and I took so much video, and I took a lot of photos, and I could see at the end of the concert my battery was wearing out, and for some reason I didn't bring my power bank. Normally I always do, but it got down to 20% left on my battery, and just as the concert ended and I walked out of this huge arena with thousands and thousands of people, I ordered an Uber. I just saw that the license plate ended with 4144 and that it was a gray Honda. And then my phone died. Picture this. I'm coming out of this arena with thousands of people trying to find an Uber that could not reach me, and I could not communicate with them because my phone was dead. And another thing, I didn't know where I was going. When you order an Uber, of course, you put the address in, but I just copy-pasted that, and I could not, for the life of me, remember where I was going. I don't know where Lars and Marianne, my friends, are living. So I was just roaming around in a parking lot trying to spot an Uber with that number, a gray Honda, and I was waiting for half an hour, 45 minutes, and nothing showed up, and it got more and more empty. And this is sort of in the middle of nowhere, outside in the outskirts of Atlanta, and I couldn't see any shops or restaurants or bars in the area. I asked inside the arena if they had a charger for an iPhone. They didn't. So everything was closing down, and just as I was giving up hope and wondering, okay, what am I going to do now? I saw a car with a license plate ending with the 4144, and it was a gray Honda, and I ran after it for I don't know 2,000 feet. I was just running and running and running behind it and waving my arms like a bloody lunatic. And thank God she looked in the rearview mirror, and I ran up to her and said, "Are you my Uber?" And then she said, "Pella, is that you? Oh, thank God I found you." So I got in, short of breath, or completely without any breath, got into the Uber and collapsed on the front seat, and then she drove me home. So, lesson learned: always bring your power bank and maybe even a piece of paper with the address of where you're going to.
And I can take anything you can throw at me, and nothing can get me down. Life is looking so bright, the sun is up again, I'm feeling like I could fly. No no clouds in my way, no. And I'm living the good life. And I'm living the good life now. I'm living the good life, and nothing can get me down, no.
That was almost it for this episode. In a bit, I'll tell you where I'm going next and share a clip from the next episode. But before that, let me remind you that I would be so thrilled if you would give me some stars in Apple Podcast or in your podcast app. And if you have a few minutes, please write a few lines in a review. It helps other people find this podcast. You can reach me on mail if you have any feedback or questions or tips for me on what to see and who to talk to when I get to a new destination. I promise that I'll answer any email I get on mail@theradiovagabond.com. You can follow me real time, where I am right now, on the official Facebook page, facebook.com/PalaRadioVagabond, and on Instagram and Twitter as Radio Vagabond. Find all these links at theradiovagabond.com, where you can also see a lot of pictures. This episode was brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. Best price guaranteed. Lars offered to drive me the 325 miles from Atlanta to my next destination in North Carolina. We decided to make a trip of it and spent the night in Charlotte, just south of my new home in the small city of High Point.
High Point is known as North Carolina's international city. And that's because we are the home of the International Home Furnishings Market. It happens twice a year in April and October. And High Point has about 110,000 people. 70 to 80,000 come just for the furniture market. So our town almost doubles in size during that time.
Here I'm going to be house sitting for Davina, that you heard before, and take care of a house, 2 dogs, and a lot of plants. And I'm so looking forward to that. My name is Palabo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.